something extremely odd is going on with our planet, where the sun rises, where the sun sets, where the magnetic poles are. To be very honest, when I first noticed this, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought, you know what? You just haven't gotten out enough lately. You spent too much time in front of the computer and you're just seeing things. Well, it was Sunday evening and I had gotten in my vehicle and was heading north to go see a friend up in St. Augustine. And I got on I-95 north and lo and behold, I was staring directly at a sunset. Now, it didn't hit me immediately, and I looked down at the compass on the dash of my car, and it said north. And I looked up at the sign, and it said, well, yeah, this is North 95. I live in Palm Coast, Florida, and was heading for St. Augustine. But there it was, the sun setting directly in front of me. But I think I have an explanation for this. There's a couple other channels that have brought this up. You see, it reminded me of a scripture. In the Bible, they use the term cottage, and when you mention this to a lot of modern folks, they think, boy, man, wouldn't that be great? Someplace maybe kind of way out in the mountains, perhaps next to flowing stream or a river, way far away, made of stone and just a couple of bedrooms, living room, a place to cook some food. Boy, that would be great, to get away from it all, to be secure and happy, and I could fish and I could hunt and I could forage and I could just be away from all this kind of stuff and just feel safe. You see, that's the images that are evoked in your mind when you talk about a cottage. Maybe a mile, maybe 2 down the road, perhaps there's a little village of people where, I don't know, maybe we could go trade for some things that we might need. But we wouldn't live there. We would just go there, visit there occasionally. It was something that even Shakespeare talked about. As far back as, well, I forget how far back Shakespeare is, but it's quite a while. A loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thou. This sentiment has echoed down for pretty much all of the modern era. People just wanting to be away from government, away from large groups of people. And that cottage out in the middle of nowhere, that was the goal. In fact, who even recognizes the lyrics? I'm satisfied with just a cottage below, a little silver and a little gold. But in that city where the ransom will shine, I want a gold one that's silver lined. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop. That's one of the oldest songs I remember singing in church. Ricky Van Shelton does a really good version of it now. This image, of course, was from the Pirate series that I've suggested everyone get. 4 seasons of Black Sails. It's an amazing thing to look at a couple hundred years ago, the sentiments that we share today. But what if I told you that in the Bible, this word cottage doesn't resemble safety or security or happiness or anything like this whatsoever? And it has to do with scripture that talks about this reeling to and fro. But that's battlefield of the mind. When I became a linguist in the military, I was Army intelligence, I was in human intelligence. I had studied foreign language in high school, French initially, and then the military. I studied Spanish, got into Romance languages. I realized something, that words changed. That what people only a few hundred years ago meant when they said something isn't what we believed now. And I thought to myself, my gosh, if that's only the case 200 and 300 years ago, how bad could it be 2,000 and 3,000 years ago? Well, this is battlefield of the mind stuff. I think our next video over there is going to cover this idea of this fault of language, this idea that we read the Bible now. Many of those scriptures were written thousands and thousands of years ago, and we believe they mean one thing when they mean something entirely different. Now, if you'd like to join us at Patreon, once again, real quick, $1 a month. That's it. One single dollar. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. You get a discount, fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked, so you've got no real risk for pretty much the entire summer. And over there, take the gloves off. We can talk about things like, well, Gen X and boomers used to talk about things without worrying about people's feelings so much. So God bless all of you, and thank you, those of you who have signed up over there and are standing in the breach and are making the difference. You're keeping the channels going. You're keeping things alive. Now, what scriptures am I referring to? Isaiah 24:19. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Isaiah 24:20. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Now, I remember when I read that, I'm like, must not be a very well-built cottage, because I knew people when I was growing up, their parents were much wealthier than mine, and they had specific lake cottages, and some of those cottages were built of stone, and they weren't very big, and they were, I mean, pardon the term, they were built like a brick shithouse. I mean, they were literally, you couldn't have, they're still standing today. It would have taken a huge earthquake to knock them down. So I thought that was a very strange term when I read that, but then it dawned on me one day, I wonder if the word cottage in the Bible means something different. And lo and behold, guess what it does? It does mean something far less than what anyone else would believe in modern America about what a cottage is. This, in the Bible, is a cottage. This is actually a really good cottage. This is more likely what they meant. Basically, just a straw, not even really hardly a lean-to, just a frame that, for the night watchman, and I thought this was a very ironic thing too, for the night watchman on a vineyard, to, if there were any weather, any type of rain perhaps, that he could shelter for just a moment, but not really even hardly a break from the wind. This is another version of a biblical cottage. Now, I don't think a lot of people, when they think of safety, when they think of retreating from the government, when they think of retreating out into the wilderness, would, especially if they had someone they loved with them, they'd say, hey, I built us a cottage out in the woods. Wait till you come see. And then you show them this. They would look at you like, and you expect me to stay here? I mean, don't get me wrong. If you were caught out in the wilderness in the middle of a rainstorm, this would be better than a sharp stick in the eye, as they say. It definitely would be something to be thankful for. But usually they left them to be blown down in the winter. They didn't even bother to take them down. That's how rickety they were. And that's what the Bible was talking about. Now, if you'd like more on this, this idea of what's going on with the sun and the earth tilting back and forth, I'm going to defer to somebody who knows a whole lot more about it than I do. This channel called The Real BP Earthwatch. Been around a long time. I mean, this is old school, right from the beginning, way back, very beginnings of YouTube. He's been around that long, and this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. In fact, if you think it's some kind of a conspiracy theory, go look at his latest video. And it says, critical update, the tilt of the planet has increased rapidly, major changes coming. And you would think, okay, well, this guy has his opinion. And I honestly wasn't even going to make this video until I saw what this guy said. And I thought, well, gosh, he's alleging the sun is setting a lot farther north. And that's exactly what I saw. I was literally on I-95 north in my vehicle, looking at my vehicle's compass, north, and staring at a sunset. And I'm like, what in the world could possibly be going on? It's not just him. If you go to this, it's from 10 June 2024, 30,000 views. Go read the comment section. He's got dozens and dozens and dozens of people who said, yeah, I've noticed this house that I've lived in my entire life. I know how it's been oriented. There were windows that never got sun in them, and all of a sudden they're getting sun in them now. And there's been this idea out, this was from last year, humans are pumping out so much groundwater that's changing their tilt. They're saying some matter of inches that you couldn't even notice, but there's another place you can go called suncalc.org. And you can just put in any date and any location, and it'll show you in time exactly what azimuth you would look at and where the sun should be for both sunrise and sunset. And that's Suncalc, SUNCALC. SUNCALC. Suncalc.org. And it's super simple to use. And it's an odd thing. It truly is. And this is, once again, space.com. Scientists discovered that Earth's tilt has changed because of the amount of groundwater pumped by humans. Some ridiculous 2,000 gigatons of water have been pumped out in this amount of time, 93 and 2010, for agriculture or whatever. You can check out SunPath, and it'll show you where the sun should be at any moment in time. The scripture from Isaiah 19 and 20 continues in 21. And it shall come to pass in that day, meaning the day of the Lord, that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. The moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion, and in Jerusalem, and before his ancients gloriously. Now, you can believe the Bible, not believe the Bible. That's entirely up to you, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, only a few days ago, confirmably, and I even recalibrated the compass in my vehicle because I thought I was just losing my mind. I was driving north on I-95 North between Palm Coast and St. Augustine, and I was watching the sunset directly in my eyes. It was the strangest experience I've ever had. So, but once again, speaking of strange experiences, if you talk to people, even not very so long ago, about a biblical cottage and how great having a cottage would be and how wonderful it would be to be safe in a cottage, they might look at you like you were crazy. And it's just a fault of language. That's all it is. Because a cottage to them meant something very different than it does to us. A loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thou. I'll leave it there. Check out Black Sails, though. It's on Netflix now for free. So you don't got to spend a dime other than what it costs for Netflix. Definitely worth the watch. Really great storyline. Talks about the real attitudes of war against the world and what was really going on with the pirates at that time. And it makes sense to what's going on now. So anyway, I will leave it there. Sorry about that, guys. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Join us on Patreon. Love to have you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.